Hello, Learning Coaches. In today's Learning Coach Minute, we are going to cover using the Learning Coach account to help support your student. So we are going to talk a little bit about what you see, but also some ideas of how you can use what you see to help your student. So what you're seeing here should be similar to what you see when you sign into your Learning Coach account and look at your specific student. You'll be able to see on the My Students tab here, your student. If you have multiple, pick the right one at the top. And then you'll be able to see their schedule. So right now we're on the daily schedule. You can click on the weekly schedule if you want. So you'll see any classes that they have up at the top, and then you'll see any assignments that they have down below. So all we can see right here is the assignments. It looks like there were any classes for this student this day. You can also see the progress your students made over in this progress. So that's a good thing that you can be checking every day. And you might want to consider making a plan with your student of when you're going to sit down and look at their progress. For elementary school, where you need to mark lessons complete in some of the subjects, it might be good to do that every day. Maybe you do that at 2 o'clock at the end of all of their classes, or at 5 o'clock each day, or maybe you start the next day at 8 a.m. You sit down, you go over what your student did yesterday and look at what they've got coming up today. You find something that works for you, but just make a plan. It's helpful to know and for your student to know when you guys will be checking in and when you'll be marking off those lessons. So here is a view if I click on the weekly schedule and I look at all the classes up here at the top, and then you can see that checklist down below. So this is a nice thing if you want to take a screenshot and be able to see everything your student should be completing for that day, for that week, and be able to check those off or write them down in a planner. There are lots of ways you can do it. I hear of students doing it in many different ways. So some families have a big whiteboard calendar, and each week they write up all the class times and all the things, and they check them off as they go. Some students use a paper planner. Some have an Excel sheet that they do it in, or they put it into an Outlook calendar or in their phone so they have reminders. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as it's something that works for you. But we recommend finding something that you can look at every day with your student, or that your student can refer back to, so that they know what's expected and can see everything that they've accomplished as well. And then from here, if you want to go into further detail of what your student is doing or be able to mark those lessons off, you can click on the specific course or the lesson. So if I click on this Summit Math 5, it will take me directly into that class. Now it's going to come up with a little pop-up window that will ask if you want to view as the student, and you can, that's just fine. So go ahead and view as student if it asks that. And then you should see something similar to once we are in the class, you'll be able to see where your student is with all of those things. So if you saw that they have these assignments due, and you can see due dates here as well, then you can click on that assignment and look at it with them. It'll show when they've completed it here, but this is much more similar to what your student sees than that view that you get in your Learning Coach account, but this is how you get to what your student sees from your Learning Coach account. Make sure you are marking off the lessons as complete that they do if it's something that that doesn't mark itself complete at the end. So that takes place in some of the English classes. In math, a lot of times it won't show complete until you have mastered the test at the end. So there's a little test, and then once they have 80% on that, it will show it as mastered and it'll show it as complete. So if you're ever looking at it and thinking, my student did this, why isn't it showing? Those are the two reasons. It's either something you need to click on and mark complete as the learning coach, or they need to complete some kind of assessment for that. The last thing I want to talk about is just using the plan view from the student's account, or from when you're seeing as the student. So if you click on plan up at the top, then you can look at daily or weekly, kind of like what you see from yours. You'll be able to see what's been completed or mastered. And this is a really good place for you to come to print off that schedule. So if you go to the weekly view here, then you can print the weekly plan and be able to check those things off or refer to them. So please come up with something that works for you and your student. If you haven't already talked to them about what would work for them, come up with a plan and set clear expectations for this semester so that you can have a great semester too.